My name is Ian and welcome to Planted. In this video, I'm going to do an end of season review of the new planting I did in front of my house. This used to be a grass strip that was planted 6 months ago with a mixture of perennials and annuals. There'll be links in the description describing all of this step by step. But in this video, I want to talk to you about the successes and the failures. Every single planting I do, there's always a chance to do it better, and there's always a chance to take note, observe plant growth, and then use that for your future decisions. We're going to go through the border, and as you can see here, it's quite substantial, and look at the plants closely and give you a score out of 10. Did they work? Would I do it again? What is it that didn't live up to expectations? What is it that was truly successful? And the whole idea is that we can use this as a little microcosm for any new planting. There's elements in this planting that you can use in your yard. Let's go. This is a beautiful plant called Nicotiana langsdorffii. Now, I've mentioned this before, but this plant is a little bit different. If we go down low, you can see that it's got this very robust single stem. And the reason this plant is so special is that it's a self-set seed all by itself. I didn't plant it, I didn't cultivate it, it's nicely branched, and it's still putting out flowers. This is an example of allowing plants to grow. I've talked about it in previous videos, and it's still a common theme. So much of what we do, I think, can unwittingly hold plant growth back, and we just don't need it. Now, there's this one in the foreground, and it's 4 feet high. I did nothing but let it grow. There's a few more in the back. So when we watch plants grow, it's amazing what we learn, as here is another self-set seedling plant. Now, I was given some plants from a friend of mine, and the seeds of this plant were in that. And they've since proliferated around my garden. The interesting thing is, I don't know what this plant is. I've done some research. I'm not overly impressed with the results. So if you can help me out, please put a link in the comments or give me your best guess as to what you think it is. That would be great. Very bright. It's got this nice foamy flowers. And there's actually 2 seeds in here that have grown in close proximity, and they've given this wonderful effect. So this whole video is about the plants that I put in, and I think it's worth starting out with the plants that are growing of their own accord. So plant observations are absolutely a must. You cannot be a good gardener without watching plants grow. Now, we've got the Nicotiana, we've got the plant that we don't know what it is, and then back here, we've got this little begonia. It's Begonia grandis. I have a whole bunch of these. These are going to get dug up and put into a nice clump ready for next year. Let's jump in and review this wonderful plant. This is a plant called Trichurtis. I have had this flowering now for the last 12 plus weeks. It's got beautiful zigzag stems, tough, reliable, robust. It got a little bit dry in the summer, and you can just see some of the leaves discoloring. But once we got through that, it's now put out a lot of growth further down. So 10 out of 10, well worth growing. This plant will get left in place, and it'll be here next year. It's tough and it's hardy. If you want bang for your buck or value for your money, you can't go wrong with a packet of thyme seed. I've done videos on this. Go through the archive, you'll find it. Tough, reliable. And I planted this on the ends in a plug form, and look how far it has grown out over the concrete. It's at least a foot. It is a wonderful way of increasing your garden space. And this plant will die back. It'll take a lot of abuse. It'll withstand snow and cold conditions. And I fully expect this plant to be here next year. So the seed time is in front of the beautiful Trichurtis. I would do both again in a heartbeat. This is the very attractive Nicotiana alata grandiflora. Now, nice flowers. This is earlier in the season. It was putting out a beautiful fragrance, and it is just gorgeous. But the problem is that it gets a mildew. So I cut it back, and then I have it flush again. But it's a shame that it kind of collapses. The leaves go brown, and here we are on a 3rd flush of new flowers. So it has the ability to flower. It is attractive, but without adding chemicals to it, to get rid of the fungus, and I can just see it now. It's just starting to come on these new leaves. It's kind of an all or nothing. When it's great, it's fantastic, but when it's bad, it's terrible. Now, what is surprising is that this should probably not be hardy in this area. It's considered a zone 8B, and we are definitely a 7A. So I don't know why it's overwintering reliably in my garden. I've had it many, many years, and I thought I would give it more sun in this location, hoping that would fix the mildew and the fungus, but it didn't. Anyway, it will not be in my garden next year. Next on the list is this remarkable salvia. This is one called Rocking Purple. This is not Amistad. Amistad is a little bluer. What stands out to me about this plant is this is a single plant. Many of the others I have in clumps. This is one plant. It had a midsummer haircut to make it go bushy again and put on late summer, early fall flowers, which is exactly what it's done here. This is a resounding 10 out of 10. I would like it to be a little bit more attractive to hummingbirds, but I have seen them on it. Not as prolific as I had expected, but well worth having, well behaved, beautiful, beautiful flowers. Yes, this is a 10 out of 10 and it will remain. This is the beautiful white version of the South African foxglove. It's called Ceratotheca triloba. I bought this as seed. This has completely exceeded my expectations. Like the salvia, it had a cutback and it's put on this second flush of growth. But I have to say, it's too big. I want somewhere in the 30 inches mark, kind of waist height that you can see over. And although this is prolific and it's putting out flowers, and it's been flowering for a few months now, much, much longer than the traditional digitalis, the regular foxglove, and also much later in the season, it's just too big. Now, I put that down to the fact that I dug up the soil, did not recompact it by standing on it, and it means that the roots are able to get down, get lots of nutrient, get lots of water, and really put on a huge root system. A big root system means lots of growth going up into our garden so we can see it. This is a result. So if this had probably had less ideal conditions, it might not have been quite so large. So a 10 out of 10 in what the plant does, but it will not be back next year. Too big, too tall. And this is very interesting. This is a beautiful dark scabious. It's called Scabious Black Knight. Very rich burgundy flowers. They move in the breeze. Very, very attractive. These are the old flowers that will turn to seed. I'm going to give this, let's say, an 8 out of 10. I'm not going to go out of my way to grow it. If it sets seeds by itself next year in this area, I'll happily let them grow. And I would expect that that would be a better way to grow it. I've got 10 plants here. I should probably have had 30, and it wouldn't have been quite so wispy. It would have had more plants around it to support itself. So that would have been ideal. I like the height, I like the colour, I like the shape of the flowers. So if we get this back next year by itself, that would be... There's always some plants that are absolute non-decision. This is one of them. Lotus jacobaeus. I've got 3 plants here. This will get cut back. I'll pop them up, put them in my cool greenhouse. They will not live outside in the winter, so this one needs a little bit of help to keep it going. Beautiful foliage, lovely flowers. Rather than having 3 plants, I would like to have 33 and have a huge billowing cloud. And to support that, I've got a tray in here. You can just about make it. And that hopefully is going to be capturing seeds that fall off this plant. And I can get 5 or 6 of them to grow. And this is standout 10 out of 10. Next we have the sister plant to the other Ceratotheca. This is just straight triloba, and it's a rosier. And whatever I said about the white one just now, this is the same. Beautiful plant, floriferous. It had a big cutback. It's still flowering. The bees absolutely love it, but it's just too tall. Very successful plant. This will not be back next year. And that's fine. And the reason is that then I've got space to put something else in here and practice and further hone my skills. This is another 10 out of 10. This is the Datura. It's really interesting that it likes it on the drier side, likes full sunshine, but rather than growing up, it likes to grow wide. It's a great plant to make more use of the space if you have, like we have here, a very narrow border. So this is a 10 out of 10. These seeds are viable. I expect there to be a whole forest here next year. and I will pick out the best 4 or 5 and have a huge clump. And the flowers are beautifully fragrant. This is a chocolate cosmos. This plant gets a resounding 10 out of 10. And you might say, why? It looks terrible. Well, the reason is that it's in the wrong place. And this is going back to that whole idea of observing plant growth. The Ceratotheca grew too tall and shaded it. These plants here were better because they had more sun, but not enough sun. So these will get dug up, they'll be overwintered, and we'll have them back next year, all being well, to give us the display that I know they can give us. And that's it, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, please subscribe, let me know your thoughts. Happy gardening. Bye for now.